I will just go through some of the usual questions na nakukuha ko dahil dun rin talaga naman tayo mauuwi. And if you have other questions, just put it there sa comments so that we'll get to that, right? Okay? So still, the question is, do I get an active or do I get a passive DI? What do I need? The simple answer is, if you have an active unit, you can use a passive DI. If you've got a passive source, you use active DI. Let me expound on that. When we have an active device, when we say we have an active source, ibig sabihin nun, ibig sabihin nun, something that's something electronic that's powered, meaning may baterya, may kuryente, powered siya. Alam mo yan, may active electronics. Tape deck, CD player, DJ mixer, keyboards, another mixer, all of that, all of those types na buhay siya dahil pinapower siya, that will kind of define to you kung ano ang isang active source, isang active device. Even, sama mo na dyan yung telepono, our usual tablets, telepono, powered electronics yan. So, dyan yan sa active. Now, with that, you could use a passive device. Now, if you do naman, on the other hand, if you have a passive device, best example would be a guitar with a passive pickup, a bass guitar with a passive pickup, ganon. So walang electronics yun. So it will just in itself, it will just try to create a certain amount of voltage para ilabas niya, para 'di ba pag kinabit yan sa bass amp, then yung amp na yung mag-amplify nun, 'di ba? But in this case, dahil yung DI, yung signal niya pupunta muna sa DI, then parang the signal is relatively weaker than kung active device. So an active DI is what you use pag may passive device ka, because it acts as a preamp. Siya ang with the battery or with the phantom power, pinapower electronics niya. So with the signal of the passive device, pagpasok sa kanya, i-amplify niya yan to a more usable, effective signal na ibabato na niya XLR going to the mixer. So yun yung parang general rule of thumb. Active device, passive DI. Passive device, go with an active DI. And then the next question would be, so pwede ba sa active device ang active DI? Well, totoo lang, yes. Pero mag-ingat ka lang kasi syempre, I mean, these things, kunyari like a DJ mixer, okay, or a keyboard, may sariling volume control yan eh. So it is possible to also, from an active device, overload the input of an active DI. So pag gagamit ka ng active DI with an active device, alalay lang doon muna sa signal. Alalay ka lang doon sa signal na yun, because it can overload your input doon sa active DI. So active DIs can be used both with passive or active sources, pero pag active source, ingat lang. Pero pag passive DI, gamitin lang siya pag passive DI, pwede na rin siya basta active yung source natin, diba? Another thing, ang ganda nga kasi dami nangyayari, in the past months. So, mapapansin nyo, bakit yung active DI na to may XLR, diba? So, that's, some have and some don't. But this one in particular, meron sila, merong XLR. Bakit? And useful yan dahil nga dun sa function nga na parang it's also a connection converter, diba? Bakit may XLR na input to na DI? Perfect example would be, ang naisip ko, DJ mixers, DJ controllers, and another, another external, may submixer ka on stage for the keyboards, sabihin natin. Diba? Yung mga yon merong XLR output. Now, dito nalilito ang iba. Pag nakikita lang XLR, XLR na yan eh. Tapos, syempre, pwede ko na itakbo yan doon sa mic input. Kasi XLR rin yun. So, di ba? Solved. But hindi. Kasi, kumbaga, hindi lahat ng XLR na output is low impedance. Tandaan nyo, ang mic input natin, low impedance. So, meaning, itong mga mixers na to, XLR man sila, balanced man sila, that is a line level signal. That is a high impedance signal. So kumbaga, malakas yun. That's so sensitive. Ikabit mo yun diretso sa mic input, you're gonna mag-overload ka right away because mic preamps are designed to amplify yung voltages na pinapasa ng mga microphone, which are like mas mababa pang voltahe yun. So ibig sabihin, malaki ang pag-re-amplify nilang signal nila. Ang lakas na ipapasok mo dun. So mag-overload ka easily. And the problem with the preamp, pag mag-distort ka on the preamp side, wala ka na magagawa. I mean, it's wala ka ng hopeless ka na. Once na yung input mo distorted, your whole chain will be distorted na. Wala ka na magagawa doon. Kaya you have to pad that. That's why kahit meron man tayong like a Pioneer DJ mixer na XLR output, kahit XLR 'yon, yes, that's a balanced signal output, pero it's still line level. So idadaan mo siya sa DI para maging low impedance siya para doon sa mixer. I've seen this mistake a number of times, and catastrophic eh. Kasi yun na nga yun when lalo na dance music, 'di ba? Ang lakas, basag, wala ka na magagawa doon. And it's not just about pulling down the volume dahil masyadong sensitive yung input ng mic. Madali mo ma-max out yun even nakababa yung main outs ng DJ mixer mo or sub-mixer. So, yun na nga yun. Don't get confused about an XLR output because it may be balanced, it may be XLR, pero it's still a line level signal. Yun. Let's just explore a bit more yung DI, yung use natin ito, no? How do we connect a DI to, let's say, the most common place where we use a DI would be a bass guitar in a band setup. The setup would be something like this. Yan. So nakikita nyo dito yung bass guitar papasok sa DI. And then, as the image shows nga, ito parang nakaparallel lang yung signal na yan eh. Meaning, so, pasok ka sa input, yung input link is just a parallel signal. So, this one, the guitar goes in here, this one goes to the bass amp para gawin mo na kahit anong gusto mo gawin sa bass amp. Wala na tayong pakialam doon as the FOH guy because what we're getting is the sound from the bass guitar going to our mixer. Okay, di ba? Ganun yun. So that fairly simple ang pag-use ng DI naman with a bass guitar. So as with an acoustic guitar, di ba? An acoustic guitar goes into the DI, XLR out, could go into a speaker dahil it converts it to a balanced signal. Kung may amp ka naman, so yung sa input dun sa parallel out, it comes in a lot of yung mga terms nila, di ba? Like katulad nito, through. Mga ibang DI nakita ko nakalagay parallel, mga ibang input through, mga iba nakalagay parallel. So yun lang yan. But rest assured, it's just it means the same thing, and yun nga, shorted lang yan. Nakaparallel lang yung dalawang yan. About guitars, ano yan eh, parang I'm not saying hindi mo pwedeng i-DI ang guitar. I could remember myself doing it a long time ago nung walang amp. Ibig sabihin, tutunog yan, walang problema. Kung pinag-uusapan lang, kung pwede ikabit, kung makuha yung tunog ng gitara, yes, pwede yon. But in terms of a sound guy tayo, we don't just generally we don't do that dahil lang kasi we're not getting the guitar sound na mas usable in terms of tunog. Pero again, it's really up to you. So usually lang, sinasabi ko, usually ginagamit natin to for ang DIs, for keyboards, for bass guitars, for acoustic guitars, DJ. Marami naman tayong DJs na events na may DJ, so yung DJ mixer nila dadaan natin sa DI papunta doon sa mixer natin.